Are you struggling with writer's block or spending hours outlining your blog posts? Discover how AI can revolutionize your writing process by automating your blog post outlines in just seconds. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If we haven't met before, my name is Jackie Money. I live in an off-grid tiny house in South Africa and I'm building a food forest. I've got 5 beautiful dogs, 2 of them giant breeds. Yes, I know, giant breed dogs in a tiny house, it's hysterical. I have a husband named Warren, and he's even more introverted than I am. And I love helping women run and scale big businesses with tiny teams and custom back-end systems. That's what I absolutely love doing. I believe that everything can be simpler, easier, and tinier so that we can all live bigger, better lives. And today I want to share with you a super powerful automation I recently set up using Zapier and OpenAI. I'm going to walk you through step by step how I automated my blog post outlines using AI so that I can save time and focus on creating high quality content. So that if automating your blog post outlines is of interest to you, stick around and let's get into it. So here we are in my virtual duo marketing hub, and I've got a lot of things going on in here, but for this tutorial, we're going to be looking at the blog content. And what I've got in here is I start out with a planning phase inside of Airtable. And once I've planned what I wanted to speak about, I want it in my project management tool, which is ClickUp. And I preferably would like an outline to begin with. So I start off here. As you can see, I've brain dumped ideas for blog posts, and then I've got a whole lot of information on here. Obviously, at the idea phase, we're not putting a lot of information in, but at the end of the blog post, once it's published, we'll have everything from the publish date, tags and keywords, word counts, the status, meta descriptions, what I need to create, if anything, the document link of where the actual content lives, images, live URLs, and then linking out to my other content bases and my newsletter and everywhere else. And so that's basically my blog database. But let's back right out of there and go in and create a new base. So what we would do is come in here and say create base. It's going to ask you where you want it. I'll just have it in there. And I want it to be called my blog database. Okay, we can just X out of there. And then we're going to delete all these fields over here because we're going to create new ones. And so we're going to leave this as is. You can click on this little arrow here and say blog title. And then, of course, we want a publish date. So again, clicking on the plus, we want a date field. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to include times. Then we want the Google Doc link. And that would be a link field, create. And then I want to know, do I need to create anything? So is it a freebie that I need to create? What do I need to create for this particular blog post? And that can just be text field. And then, of course, the status. That's going to be important. And so we want a single select field over here. And we're going to have a couple of drop-down options. So the first is going to be idea, planned. And I'll tell you in a minute why this is important. Writing, needs editing, scheduled. And then published. Oh, wait, there was something else. Needs images. And of course, yours can be anything, needs images. Okay, that's fine. And as you can see, I've just dragged and dropped these around, and then you hit create field. So now you've got your statuses. Now what we want to do is create a view that's going to trigger our Zap. Okay. And then we're going to filter our data. So what we're going to do is over here on this grid view, right click and duplicate. And then right click again and rename and say, I usually do this with mine, Zap trigger. And then it will be planned. Okay, so as soon as I move a blog title from idea to planned, it is going to show up over here, and that is what's going to trigger the Zap that we're going to build. So what we want to do is only filter the titles that are in the planned stage. So we will come up here, click the filter, add a condition, and we are looking at the status, and the status is planned. Okay, so then it will filter everything else out, only the planned are in here. So let's go back to the overall grid view, and I'm going to grab some titles over here and some dates and information, and let's drop it in here. Okay, so here we have a couple of titles. And so here I can say, okay, status over here is idea. This one we can put in as planned. This one we can put in as idea. And then this one we can put in as planned. Okay, so if we go back in here, you'll see the two that are planned have popped into this view. So this is fantastic because we're going to need this information for testing our Zap that we're going to build. So that's all that you need for Airtable. We can rename this table to blog posts. Let's just call it blog posts. Oops. Blog posts and save it. So here we've got our table that we want to use. So now let's pop in to Zapier. So what we're going to do is create a new Zap. Now remember, I do planning inside of Airtable, and you're going to need to decide if you want to plan inside of only your project management tool. But I like having all of my content in Airtable. I keep everything in my master Airtable that I showed you before, and it's just easy for me to have everything in Airtable. So that's what I wanted. So what I want in the Zap, what I want to happen is, for as soon as I say something is planned, so I've decided this is what I want to talk about on this date, I wanted to fire the Zap, right, and ask OpenAI to give me an outline and give me some keywords, and then give me some subheadings and some topics that I can speak about inside of this actual blog post. But I don't want AI to write the blog post for me. I don't believe in doing that. I prefer to write my blog posts myself. But it's nice to just get like some ideas, to get you going. So let's hop into Zapier. You will need for this a paid account of Zapier, because we're doing a multi-step Zap. And so unfortunately on the free account, you can't create this Zap on the free account at all. So again, if we just hop out of here again, what you would do, this just load. So you come on the side here, you say Zaps, and then you hit create and new Zap. Okay, so then the very first thing it's going to ask you is the trigger. So for our Zap that we're building today, our trigger is Airtable. Okay, so that is the tool that is triggering the Zap. So in here, you would type in Airtable. And if you haven't connected Airtable, you would obviously need to connect Airtable up. I've already connected my Airtable, and you'll see this exclamation mark in here. Once you've tested the Zap or the part of the Zap, it's going to have a little green check. So you'll see that when we get to testing. So the event, what do we want happening? What triggers this whole Zap off? Well, like we said, when we change the status over here to planned, that is what actually triggers the Zap. So there's a new record that comes into this view. And that's why I said to you, put your Zap trigger so that you know you don't delete this view, because what's going to happen if you delete this view, it's going to break this Zap. So by changing the status to planned, the tasks or the blog tasks are going to move into this view. Okay. And so the trigger will be a new record in a selected view. And you hit continue and continue again. And now you need to put in all the information. So it's going to ask you what base. So it's my blog database. So let's find, you can actually type my blog database. There it is. Okay. Then it's going to say to you what table. So for this particular example, we've only got one table in here. But if you had many tables, like my actual marketing hub, it's got many tables, you would need to actually choose the table that you are working in. So we go here and we choose the table. And then it's going to say limit to view. So again, what we said is we wanted to limit it only to this view. So the Zap trigger view. So again, come in here and say limit it to the Zap trigger view. Okay. And then continue. And then we test and we see what data comes up. So test trigger. And it's found a record. How to use Airtable for project management. It should be management, but anyway, so here it is. It's found the record and we could test with this record. So we're happy with that. And it's going to pull in all the information. And so we hit continue. The next thing you're going to want to do is connect OpenAI. Now, if you don't have an OpenAI account, I suggest you get an OpenAI account. You do not have to have the paid account, but you do need an OpenAI account. So then we just type in OpenAI, and there it is. So we would click on that. So this is the thing that we want to happen. What do you want to happen? So the very first thing I wanted to happen is for it to send the prompt to OpenAI, and then to then take that prompt and put it into ClickUp, which is the project management tool. So what I would do here is go OpenAI, choose the event. So the event I want is to send a prompt. So I'll select that, continue, and continue again. And now we're going to map the actions. So we're going to leave this as text. And then we're going to add the prompt. So I'm going to give you the prompt that we need to add. So, because I've got this written down, so let me just grab it quickly. If I were to write an article about, now what we want to do is automatically pull in the information from Airtable with the article title. So it will have a drop down here, and this is where we get that information. You could see it's got the little Airtable icon. So we hit show all options, and then here is the blog title. So we pop that in there, and then we finish the prompt off. So we're going to leave a space, and let's see, I'm going to put this in. So what are 5 topic ideas, and what are 5 related subtopics? I think I want to add something in here. let's see, add 10, let's see, 10 keywords that I can rank for. And then what are, so if I were to write an article about what the topic is, 10 keywords I can rank for, what are 5 topic ideas and what are 5 related subtopics, then create an outline for the article. Okay, so that's our prompt. On the temperature side, I went with 0.8. So temperature is, it says here, the higher values mean that the model will take more risks. So if you want it to be more creative, then 0.9. If you want it to be not creative at all, then 0. So I've just gone with 0.8. I've made the maximum length 600 because it's an outline, it's not a full blog post. I haven't added stop sequences. And then, but if you want to, because it eventually will use tokens if you have a paid account, then you can actually stop how many sequences or add how many sequences you want to run. And then these 3 things I've left as is. So then what you do is you hit continue and test. And so what it's going to do is it's going to send this to OpenAI. And this might just take a second. And then it's going to give you a response. So here's the response. It's got my keywords in. I can see it's got keywords in. It's got an introduction, topic ideas, and then it's got subtopics with a couple of examples of what I can talk about. So I'm really happy with that. Prompt tokens were 51, and that was the prompt. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So now what we're going to do is add the ClickUp element. And so I'm going to add to this, and I'm going to say ClickUp. And what do I want to happen? So what I want to happen is a task to be created inside of my ClickUp account. Continue, continue again. And so this is where you choose where inside of your ClickUp account you want this to happen. So firstly, your workspace. And so obviously for me, I want it in my own workspace. And then the space. So for me, it will be in my virtual duo workspace. This is where all my work happens. What folder? So for me, that would be in my content pipeline folder. And then it's going to say which list. So depending on your project management tool, you're going to have different questions, depending on how it's set up. So I want this in my blog post production. And then your task name, we're not using a template. So the task name is obviously going to be pulled in from your Airtable record as to the blog post name. So we go here to the title and pop that in there. And then the task description is obviously going to have that prompt from OpenAI. So what you would do is when you click into the description, it's going to ask you, where do you want the information pulled from, Airtable or OpenAI? So I want it from OpenAI, and I'm going to say show more options. And then this is where the actual from OpenAI was. So I'm going to pull in that. I'm not using any of these. I'm not assigning emails. I can assign this to me because I will be writing that blog post. Task status will be to do. Any tags you want to add, I'm not adding tags. Priority, we could say, okay, it's urgent. And then due date will be pulled in from Airtable because that's where the due date is. So again, show all options. And do I have a date? This is the date. I'm not using start dates right now. The link will be the Google Doc link. So you pull that in. Do I need to create anything? Yes, I need to create some templates. If you've done research, you can pull that in. If you have a research column in Airtable, publish date will be the due date. And then I'm not doing this publish date include time. And then your blog status, you want it as planned. Okay, so these are all things that I've put inside of ClickUp. So your inside of your own ClickUp or another project management tool might be different. But just remember, you're either pulling data from Airtable or from OpenAI. That's all you need to remember. And just think clearly through where you're pulling the data from. So for this ClickUp, I'm pulling most of the data from Airtable, except for that prompt OpenAI spat out. And so then what I do is I hit continue, and I need to test the action. So again, test the action to make sure that it sends it. And then once it's ready and there's green text all around, you can publish and turn on. Just want to remind you that the prompting may take some time. So don't expect that when you activate this automation inside of Airtable, that it's going to be immediate. The prompting does take some time to do, and then it will eventually appear in ClickUp. So if I'm going into my ClickUp, here you can see I tested it earlier with this one, but here is the new one. And when we click into it, you can see here, this is the prompt that OpenAI spat out. So here are the keywords I can use to help me rank. Then here is the topic ideas. Okay, so introduction to Airtable project management, best practices and utilizing Airtable, and so on. And then here are subtopics I can talk about. And then it gives me an outline. And then this is actually also quite helpful. So this is basically how the whole thing works. So there you have it. Automating your blog post outlines have never been easier with the help of automation tools like OpenAI and Zapier. Please subscribe to this channel for more tips like this. And if this brought up any more questions than answers, get on my email list and let's keep on talking about systems, automations, and how I can help you grow and scale your business without working more hours and without hiring a huge team. Bye for now.